In just about any critical industry you can think of, a busy factory floor, a huge farm, even a super yacht out on the open ocean, there's one thing that can make or break everything: clear, reliable communication. When the stakes are high, you just can't afford static or dropped calls. So, what if there was a way to guarantee a clear signal pretty much no matter where you are? Let's dive into how one company is making that happen.
Now, this isn't just a catchy tagline. It's really the whole philosophy. It's built on this simple but really powerful idea. A clear signal is kind of useless without the confident skill to actually use it. It's all about empowering people, giving them not just the right tech, but the right training so they can act decisively, whatever the situation. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into that core philosophy. Then we're going to open up the comms toolbox and see what's actually inside. After that, we'll see this tech in action out in the real world, discover how it's being used for something much bigger, and finally, we'll see what makes the whole Yesway approach so different. So what does being connected and future-ready even mean? Well, it's about taking these incredibly complex, powerful communication systems and making them feel simple and intuitive to use. It's about giving teams the tools they need to solve today's problems, while also building a foundation that's tough enough for whatever tomorrow throws at them. Okay, let's be honest. The world of professional radio is full of acronyms that can sound, well, a little intimidating, but don't worry, we're about to demystify all of it. We're going to turn these complex terms into simple tools that just make sense. First up is ATEX, and this one is absolutely critical. Imagine you're on a ship, down in the battery room, or in a factory with flammable gases around. The very last thing you want is for your radio to create a spark. ATEX certified gear is built to be intrinsically safe, which is a fancy way of saying it physically cannot create a spark. It's safety baked right into the design. Next, we've got ROIP, or Radio over Internet Protocol. The simplest way to think about this is that ROIP uses the internet to give your traditional radio network a massive upgrade. It lets you connect different radio systems together no matter where they are. It can literally give your team a global reach, linking people across town or even across the entire world. And then there's Tetra. Think of this as the Fort Knox of radio. Seriously, when you need your signal to be instant, totally reliable, and lockdown secure, this is the gold standard. It's a system that emergency services trust with their lives, and it's also the go-to for places like super yachts where privacy is everything. Okay, so this is a really important distinction. You've basically got two main ways to do push-to-talk. On one hand, you have traditional radio. It sends signals directly from one handset to another. It's super robust, but hills or buildings can limit its range. On the other hand, you have push-to-talk over cellular. It uses the same networks as your smartphone, giving you gigantic coverage without you having to build your own network. Two different tools for very different jobs. All right, so we've looked at the tools in the toolbox. Now, let's see them in action. How does all this technology actually solve real-world problems for people who are just trying to get their jobs done? Let's take farming. You're out in the middle of nowhere, and your mobile phone service is spotty if you have any at all. That's a huge problem. The solution? A good old two-way radio. It's way more reliable, the handsets are tough enough to get dropped in the mud, and that instant push-to-talk connection, it's just perfect for coordinating work across hundreds of acres. And you see the exact same thing in manufacturing. There was this factory in Tamworth, right? And they were having these communication breakdowns that were causing these really expensive delays. So they brought in a dedicated, reliable radio system, and suddenly their teams were connected instantly. It boosted their efficiency and cut way down on the simple errors that can stop a whole production line. Now, out on the water, clear communication is just non-negotiable. It's all about safety and security, and this is where all the tools in our toolbox come together. You need those ATEX radios for hazardous areas, you need the secure Tetra systems for the crew's private comms on a super yacht, and more than anything, you need audio that is crystal clear so it can cut right through the noise of an engine or a storm. But here's the thing. This expertise in getting people connected isn't just for business. What happens when you apply it to a much, much bigger global challenge? This is where technology really starts to find its purpose. Just let this number sink in for a second. Almost half of all people on this planet do not have internet access. This digital divide, it creates these massive disadvantages, especially for women and girls, limiting their access to everything from economic opportunities to basic information and education. So that leads to a huge question, doesn't it? We have all of this incredibly advanced technology right at our fingertips. So how can we actually use it to tackle a problem as massive and as important as the global education gap?
Well, here is one incredibly powerful answer. It all starts with the tech. Using low Earth orbit, or LEO, satellites to beam internet down to places that have never had it. The impact of that is immediate. All of a sudden, students have access to a world of online educational resources they could only dream about before. And the goal? This directly supports the UN's mission for quality education for all. It's a straight line from a satellite in the sky to a child's future.
Okay, so let's pull all these different threads together now. We've seen the tech, we've seen the real-world uses, and we've seen the global purpose. So what does this all add up to? What's the core advantage here? So, what is the Yesway advantage? It's really this unique mix of things. First, it's that deep technical expertise, the kind you get from working in tough fields like aerospace, but applying it to solve practical, real-world problems. Second, it's a huge commitment to people. It's not just about selling tech. It's about providing the training to build confident skills so that tech actually gets used the right way. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, it's all driven by a core purpose, this belief that connecting people is the very first step to building stronger communities and creating new opportunities. And all of that leaves us with one final thought. You know, it's easy to stick with what's working for you today, but the world is always changing. So just take a second to ask yourself, is your team's communication system just getting the job done for now, or is it truly ready for whatever comes next?